I've got a bit of a feeling, my two lovely panellists, that the Windsor, it's like EastEnders now, isn't it? The Windsors,
absolutely.
is going to run and run. But look, Matthew, the Duke of Sussex, Harry and Meghan, the Duke and Duchess, they're making big bucks. They're being paid tens of millions of pounds by Netflix. Why should the British taxpayer pick up their enhanced security bill? They still get security, but their enhanced security bill when they come to the UK? Because unlike other members of the royal family who aren't really able to work except for their royal duties, they're out there, they're coining it in.
Absolutely, and of course, as we just heard, it's not about when they're within their royal residence or visiting family, where of course security at Sandringham or Windsor or Buckingham Palace is very secure anyway, very severe. What they want is basic enhanced security for when they go around making a big buck. So I think they've got a right cheek. I think that what happens with all people, both the royal family and politicians, is the security is assessed by a panel, and at the moment, for example, Keir Starmer has security because the threat level is higher because of his work in Northern Ireland. Some continuing threat we don't know about. When I worked for Ed Miliband, you only get it during the election campaign because you're not deemed a threat when you're just a mere leader of the opposition. So it's all done on a sensible basis, and it just seems that you have to go along with that rather than expecting the state to pay for when you're off making money.
And Rebecca, what do you think? The British public, are they pro-Harry, or do they just think the Windsor's back for another pop at the royal family?
No, I think you and Rupert said it best. I think this is just so sad. I think everything that happens with Harry is just deeply sad. The leaving the UK in the first place, the Netflix, the Oprah, the briefing, the books. I mean, he's just this very damaged boy, isn't he? I think, obviously the dysfunctional family, the loss of his mother, I think he clearly has never recovered from. And I think all of this is not to get into pop psychology, but I think it's all about kind of operating in this paranoid way that he thinks everyone's out to get him. He's got living in the shadow of his mother and the awful way that she died. And I think the British public have had enough, and I think that's desperate.
And the idea
I kind of think
the idea to be left at risk.
I think we are post-Mexit.
Yeah, post-Brexit. We haven't figured out Brexit, but I think we've all come down quite firmly on Brexit.
But the idea that the police and security services would put him in anywhere at risk is just nonsense, because can you imagine what would happen if anything did happen to him? The heads that would roll, the tower would be brought back and the heads might literally be cut off. I mean, they obviously have decided what's appropriate security for him, and I think the idea that he knows better than them is nonsense.
And as the BBC would say, Prince Harry maintains a reasonable level of security despite Mexit.
Would they say that?
They would say that. Everything else.
Hey, by the time tax, is it? Oh, Jake, you'll be the death of us.
Right. Okay. So, Omid Scobie, the book. Are you going to be getting it for your stocking fillers?
I hope not.
Yes, not from a friend, maybe from an enemy.
I hope not.
Have you seen it sold very badly? It's only sold 3,000 copies in its first week, which is really bad.
Not as well as Nadine Dorries' The Plot. Tune in this evening to watch Nadine Dorries on this channel. Nadine Dorries' The Plot sold 22,000 copies in the first 4
what's that, 8 times more? So, absolutely. Yeah. So I think that's the true testament, isn't it? I think people have had enough of Scobie's revelations, and frankly, people have had enough of it as a soap opera. So look, I had worries about King Charles when he took over, but I think they've maintained a decent... Absolutely. They've done a really, really good job since the accession, and long may that continue. So I think their silence about silly revelations is the best policy.
I'll tell you one thing, I went over to Washington earlier this week for a few days to talk to congressmen and senators across the aisle about getting more support for Ukraine from the American government. And you think we're fed up of Harry and Meghan. You want to go to Washington.